Hello there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It is Patrick here, Eggnoc Poker. New video today. Haven't done a video for a couple of days, nearly a week actually. Been busy. So we're going to be doing a bit of a video spree. So we're doing a video every day for the next couple of days. Today we're going to be doing another hand history review of one of our Discord members. We have Mr. Trueteller69 here. It's not the Trueteller you might be thinking of that you may have known from the Super Death Stakes. It is not that cyborg, but it is the other Trueteller. So Mr. Trueteller69 is going to be playing on NL, it is 10 I believe, yeah, NL 10 on Fast Forward, so that is Party Poker. So this is a new one for me to be looking at. I don't think I've ever played on Party Poker properly, so I have absolutely no idea how the populations are playing. It will be very, very interesting to see if they're aggressive or tight, and we'll see how we go. Just very quickly, as always, before we start, thank you so much to everyone who's been liking, subscribing. As always, please press the subscribe button. Please leave the comments. Please leave the likes. The algorithm loves it, and so do I. And please join the Discord. All the information is in the link below, and also the Wizard affiliate link is there as well if you're interested. So all the junk and jargon out of the way, we're going to get started. So NL 10. Let's see what you can do for us. I think pressing the play button might be optimal. Let's see if we can have a look. So I have absolutely no information on any of these hands. I don't have any information from Mr. Trueteller on what's going on or how the populations are playing. So we're just going to be playing by ear. And I'll be pausing the video and talking over stuff as we get to it. And we'll see how we go. So what have we got? We've got King, Queen, Table 1, easy open. And to be honest with you, against a perceived recreational, I think I would just be mostly betting my entire range, and when we have the value, the higher value spectrum of range, I would be betting bigger than a third. I'd probably be going like sort of 2/3, 3/4, just trying to go big versus an elastic calling range. As played versus the ace, I guess I'd be mostly checking King Queen, although against a recreational, I'd probably just be betting. I'd probably be betting like small to half would probably be good. What's happened here? Check. Sorry, we bet the flop, check the back the turn, facing river lead. I know theoretically as played, we'd probably be mixing fold and call, probably mostly folding actually. Or it might be quite close, thinking of it at the top of my head. What would I do versus a recreational player? I don't know how many backdoor hands they call with that aren't like an ace high of diamonds, ace high of clubs, ace high of hearts that we beat. So he would have to have hands like queen jack of hearts, queen jack of diamonds. I mean, we are relatively high up, but we don't really beat many hands, and there's not that many floats that turn into bluffs that we're beating, really. I'd probably mainly fold this. I don't hate a call, but I'd probably mainly be folding, as long as we're never raising. Unless we have any, I suppose, reads. Yeah, that makes sense, ace nine of hearts. See if we can make something happen with our queen nine of spades, table 2. I think we'll be opening that one. Could potentially be a 4-bet candidate as well, blind on blind, but I don't think that's the best way to play at these stakes. We could do some checking, we can do some betting. I think we could probably do a couple of different sizes. I would probably just be betting third with most of my range in a lot of situations in the lower stakes, especially like NL 10. I think it's probably just easy to bet between small and half on most board textures, as we're not getting check raised, we're not getting floated super wide. Pick up a gut shot on the turn. Also, we have a massive nut advantage now. We've got a lot of like ace kings. We've still got we've got more combos of like king jack suited. We've got all the hands that villain has for value as well and more. I would just be betting big on this turn. I'd love to see a large bet or an over bet. I think both would be really, really, really good. Against population, I think it probably performs even better than it should do as well. I think between 6 and say 13 is good here. That's nice. And if we're betting turn, we want to mainly be continuing river. I do wonder if villains call or fold most of their jack X. That'd be interesting to know. Anyone who plays 10L fast forward, do let me know in the comments if you feel like people are mostly calling or mostly folding with hands like second pair or very, very weak top pairs on turns. Nicely done. We have an easy fold through suited, and we've got a playable hand, table 1 with the blackjack. You're not playing do 7 offsuit, bro. What's going on? I think you could find some calls. I think I'd much prefer a 3-bet with table 1 with our ace jack. And versus cold jam. Oh, I mean, we'll see what happens first. I think I'd probably just fold. Oh, it's easy fold now. I'm just thinking if it went fold. I mean, the thing is, there would still be 3, 9. There's a lot of money in there. There's also about 10, 11 and dead money. Small blind jamming range. I don't know if, like, again, it's volatile, isn't it? If you got this guy tagged as a really splashy, aggressive whale, fish, whatever, then maybe this is close with ace jack, considering how much money you would have already put in and is dead. But I mean, it's an easy fold versus the other dude. I would mark that guy with the deuces to make sure. Yeah, good man. Make sure we know that for the future, that he's jamming 40 big sub with deuces. So if you've got hands like 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, you can start becoming a bit more confident with what his range can contain. Also, ace jack would be an easier call if we know hands like deuces and 3s and 4s are in it as well, for example, with the dead money in and the stack sizes. American Airlines, table 1, that's a very good hand. I think we'd like to be putting more discs in the middle. I think anywhere between sort of 12 and 14 would be good. 15, yeah, big, chunky. I like it. I love it at these stakes. The bigger the better, especially with value. And we're going to be very, very, very polarized here. We're going to have a lot of suited bluff style combos, and then we're going to have some nutted hands as well. So I like it. Good free bet ace king. I suppose you could have some amount of some more exploitative calls if you wanted to versus extremely tighter players. Again, it's just generally fundamental. We will just be mostly 3-betting, especially versus UTG, just to get some on the button versus UTG. I suppose we'll be mainly 3-betting with some call, just trying to get some value from worse. I suppose it depends how exploitative you want to be, if you have any information. We're going to be doing a lot of range betting here. UTG is going to interact with this board pretty well. He's going to have queens and ace queen. He's going to have ace 5 suited. He's going to have flush draws. I suppose we having the ace spades is actually kind of annoying because we're blocking him having some like ace 10 of spades, for example, which we're doing relatively well against. But then he's also still got hands like ace jack. He's got ace 10 suited of other combos. He's going to have like king 10 of spades, king jack of spades. He's going to have like, I mean, depending on who you're playing against, they probably might have wider as well to call that you get value from. So I think it just against I'm trying to think strategically, like a small consistent bet would be nice. I think, though, again, in just a vacuum exploitatively, we've got a very good hand. We get value from a lot of other hands. So I'd probably just be betting. I like sizing up a little bit more than a third or 25% or whatever you want to put in. We're mainly block betting small, but I'd just like to probably just go bigger, a little bit more exploitatively with value. But well played overall. I just think we can get more value by betting bigger as an exploit in like NL10, for example. I think we should be pure exploit. We've opened the Queen Jack. We get another small blind defend. I'd be mostly checking back and some betting. We've got the Queen of Hearts, which is also nice, so I don't mind either, I suppose. I suppose you could probably do most sizes here. When villain bets and check calls a large size, I'd be mostly checking the turn back, playing rivers. Facing river check, I think I'd like to see a very small bet, see if we can get called by. I mean, to be fair, the only problem is we're chopping with all jacks, aren't we? That unless it's king jack or ace jack. So, do we get called by worse? This is probably quite close, actually. No, maybe checking back or an extremely small bet would be good, but it's probably better to check. I'm just too greedy, I suppose. Easy open queen 10 suited. Absolutely detest that hand. Looks pretty, but it doesn't really play very well. Especially versus a lot of aggression. Versus small blind squeeze, I think I would just be folding this. Hands like jack 10 suited, queen jack suited, queen 10 suited don't do so well calling. We will be in position to the aggressor, but they're going to be calling and having a multi-way situation. This isn't, I mean, the thing is, it's like, this isn't the worst hand in the world, but it's just not going to play super well, especially against this size multi-way. I'd just be folding queen 10 suited. I think it's probably quite easy to fold. Very nice to see. Good job. We're going to get ourselves into a lot of awkward and tricky situations post-flop if we're calling there. Easy opens with the ace, queen, ace, jack. Again, we've just got relatively top and nutted range. Top nutted part of our range on table 2. I'd love to just see. I mean, you'd mostly be betting small, but I would just love to see like between sort of 50 and 2/3 against these. If these guys hit top pair, they just keep paying. So we want to start charging. Big is nice. I like it. You could potentially open the ace 10. I don't hate folding, but I think you should be opening ace 10 most of the time. Ace 9's a cut off. I think ace 10 should be close to, I wouldn't say pure, but a very, very large percentage open at 10nl. I think you can make it work profitable. Did we bet big on the flop table too? We did, didn't we? We bet between half and 2/3, I think. I think because we specifically picked up a gut shot and the flush draw, and we got top pair, so we're blocking a lot of villains like nutted hands, like Jack 8 suited, Jack 8 off if he calls those. We're not doing too badly against a lot of other hands. We still get value from. I suppose I'm thinking of like what hands do we get value from on the turn? You can still have hands like Ace 8. You can still have hands like well, any ace, I suppose. You can still get value from like 7/8, 9/8, 10/8. So we have the diamond blocker and a gut shot with our hand, so I'd probably be betting this turn. Checking is also completely fine, but I think I would have bet quite small on the turn, see if we can get some thin value. I think with the Jack of Diamonds, we would probably be betting small here. We block Queen Jack, we block some flushes. We block like Jack 8, and as played, I think I'd just be betting small. Betting between I'm thinking exploitatively, I'd probably go between sort of 1 and 3 and try and get called by a worse ace. Or maybe like King Queen with the King of Diamonds or something. Checking back is very, very nice though. I'm just, again, very greedy, and I would have got myself in trouble by betting, but it is what it is. Interesting, again, I don't know if you've got this guy color-coded. You do, so I'm assuming you've already got notes on him. This is someone who can have check raise. This is someone to look out for, that they've got protected turn check into river check raise. So mark him. He looks like quite a competent opponent. That'd be good to know. Pocket Kings, we like that. Let's raise that one up. Take it down, Sag. Waiting for players on both tables. Where is everybody? Easy fold A7. I'll just be fast folding this Jack 6 offsuit. We know we're going to be folding that. Let's get straight through to the next hand. Just a thing as well, like you click fold, just if you can get used to it, give yourself hotkeys for like fast folding and get used to it. It will save you a lot of time. It'll give you a lot of extra hands per hour in the long run. It saves you having to sort of physically go over to the fast forward button and press it. King Queen suited. I would love to see a 3-bet here. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Love it. So the Jack X board is pretty good for us. Also, specifically, King Queen of Clubs is going to block a lot of primary calls. So like Queen Jack of Clubs, King Jack of Clubs, which is quite nice. So we're doing pretty well there. Don't have a backdoor flusher, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We have 2 overs, we have backdoor straight draw. We block a lot of villains top end value, like decent top pairs. So I'd mostly be betting. I believe our range is mostly betting a little bit bigger on these sort of like these Jack X wet textures. So it's like, well, it's kind of like a mixed texture, isn't it? So I'd probably be going between sort of half, 3/4, something like that. I don't think third would be good. I think half and 3/4 are better sizes, or check. I think this is a very decent combo to go ahead and bet. So I'd love to see a mixed bet between half, 3/4, something like that, I would suppose. See what we do. We do go for a check. Okay, that's fine. I think our range, I'm trying to think about it off the top. This is actually really hard to do off the top of my head. I believe our range is mostly betting this, though. I don't think we're checking very often. And I think King Queen suited of clubs is a relatively decent hand to go ahead and bet. I'm not faulting you for check fold. I'm not saying like it's a just ridiculous blunder. But I think I'd primarily be betting the flop there with a decent size rather than checking. Excuse me. Don't hold me to that, but I do believe we should be betting quite big on the flop. I think we'd be doing better off overall. What are we doing there with the Queen Jack offsuit? Sorry, I'm just coming back. I wanted to see what we did with the Queen Jack. We opened the 3s, that's fine. It's close, I suppose, but it's okay. It's the Queen Jack offsuit table 1 I wanted to see again. So this could be a mixed open. Again, it depends on who you've got in the pools. If you feel like you've got decent players behind, you can fold, but we should be opening this roughly half the time. I'm only mentioning it because you don't look like you have an RNG unless it's off the table that I can't see. So you could potentially 4-bet King 10 suited at some frequency, but it would primarily be a fold, I suppose, in the big blind. Easy fold with the 4 deuce, and we get some ladies. Table 1, that's always good to see. I would love to see a squeeze there. We'd like some more money, please, dealer. A few more discs in the pots. Yep, love it. Aces, that's a good hand. Last time I checked. Take it down, sad. We got 7-5, no good. Jack 4, nah, no good. Let's fold that. By the way, I didn't mention it, but the cursor is actually Truetellers, the guy that's playing. Not mine, in case you're wondering. This fine gentleman is considering it on table 1. He's not going to do it. He's going to fold. So what do? We pick up a gut shot about the flush draw table 1. I think I'd like to see us between sort of half-ish. I think would be a nice size. I guess you could do some small betting as well, but I'd like to go between sort of small and half. A bit bigger is good. I like it. We're going to be doing a lot of turn barreling. We do turn a straight, or as my friend Tom calls it, a run. I don't think we're ever checking back a straight here. I think we're still mostly betting. We're not too concerned. Obviously, clubs come in, but we still get value from a lot of other hands. Villain can have like Queen 6, Queen 5 6, 9 6, 7 6, 8 9, like that, pick up equity and turn hands we can beat. Villain can have hands like 9x with a club. He can have like Jack 10 with a club. There's loads of hands that we get value from. So I would love to see a bet on the turn. I think we could probably do, I think I'd be mixing again. I think we could probably do like block. We could probably do half. I think you could probably do a couple of different sizes. I don't hate larger bet here. I don't think it's terrible. I think I'd probably be going between sort of block or half though. I think 2/3 might be quite big, but again, it's single raise, isn't it? So don't hold me to it. I think it's probably okay. I'm just thinking in these pools, I would if I've got a decent hand, I'm mainly betting big like flushes and so on. I think a straight sets, I'd probably be mainly like putting into like a block at micro stakes, just so I can continue calling when I do get raised. Because their raises are so much more legitimate and value heavy. I don't want to sort of go big and then sort of put myself in a box. But anyway, whatever. I think with the river paired board and the flush, it's probably going to be an easy check, isn't it? Probably just going to win. Yeah, we do. Flop equity on every single hand that we're opening. I like it. We've got flush draw table 2. Versus large donk on the small blind. I haven't studied a lot of multi-way, so I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about. I think versus a small blind large size, especially like micro stakes, I would give this respect compared to it being like a 1.5, 2, 3 big blind lead. I'd be mainly calling this and looking to play turns and rivers cautiously, I think, at these stakes, rather than being too aggressive. So we turn top pair, that's nice. So we do now beat some hands like 7x of hearts. We're now ahead of hands like ace-x, king-x of hearts, for example. And we've also picked up equity against hands like 6-7. More equity against hands like 6-7, so that's good. Against half pot, I think it's only a call. You could potentially argue for some raising against extremely aggressive opponents, but I think I'd be mostly calling, considering they've bet big on the flop and continued the turn. Facing river check. See, the greed inside me wants to bet this river, but it's kind of one of those spots, isn't it, where it's like we could potentially get called by worse, but the only worse hands are hands like pocket 8s, ace-7 of hearts maybe, or just a random like just top pair on the flop, but that is now third pair. I think this is probably a check, but I'd love to see a very, very small size against like a 8-9 type hand or like an ace-7 type hand. Villain can have some king-x of hearts, so I don't hate checking, but I'd love to see a really small bet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Easy fold to 40 suited. Even against a min open and a call, our hand has just got such bad reverse implied with a high rake environment. If this checks through, we need to be aggressive on a lot of turns. It doesn't. We're just going to fold, I suppose. Easy. Deuces, yeah, again, it depends on the... You don't make it. It's kind of like a borderline call. You're only mainly opening it for range construction, I suppose. But like, if you've got really, really terrible players that you can make money from, fine, open it. But it's up to you. But it won't make a tremendous amount of money. However, the ace-2 suited on the button, that's a nice easy open. I was about to say fold then, that would be disastrous. I suppose we could go, I mean, range would be mostly checking or betting small. So I suppose either would be fine. I think deuces, I'm thinking like versus the population. I like c-betting more than I like checking because I know villains tend to bet when on turns and rivers when check too. And deuces are very vulnerable compared to having like sevens or like a weak 8, for example. So I would probably be mostly betting, even though checking and betting small are both fine. Okay, as played, I suppose you've got an option. You could either check back, so you can now check back turn or bet small again. Same thing, and then you'd be mostly like mixing, I suppose, on river between betting again or checking. I think, to be fair, if you bet this turn, you'd probably be mainly betting again as a barrel, as a triple barrel bluff to make like an 8 or like pocket 7s or pocket 9s or something fold, I suppose. If you check, you'd be looking to either bluff catch or fold, depending on villain. Let's have a look, see what we do. Do you decide to bet? Okay, that's fine. If you're going to bet this turn, you should be prepared to do some triple barreling. But again, it depends on the villain type, I suppose. But we are clearly bluffing. On this turn, we pick up an open-ended, don't we? There's 2 flush draws. I don't hate checking. I kind of prefer betting almost pure against these fields. I feel like a lot of players at micro stakes that check when they open early position and then check back, I feel like this is just going to be so ace-x heavy. But the only problem is he can still have hands like jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, for example. He may have some, some of these wobbly hands as well. He may have like ace, jack of hearts. So we potentially put ourselves in a box if we bet and get raised. But I think just this guy's got so much ace high and king high, even though we do block some of it, which again is quite irritating. But I think I would mostly be betting turn and then probably river as well. It's just that kind of like, when the villains show like obvious weakness, it's probably better just to always be aggressive in these situations rather than be sort of super worried about being punished for it, because no one's really sort of correctly having their range protected. So I like it. Easy open without jack 9. See, I love pot controlling here. Mostly just like with these sort of marginal second best hands, because again like compared to the deuces, like jack 9 just holds up pretty well against like flop and turn bets and barrels on most flops and turns, most sort of turns and rivers, sorry. So I would mostly be checking this to avoid getting raised on the flop and making life difficult. Betting is, again, I always say this and I completely you can bet or check, or both are fine, but I would mostly be checking, especially without a club. But it doesn't matter, like both are fine. I much prefer having these checks and letting villains just sort of put money into the pot, and we just have an easy decision. After checking the flop with the queen pairing, I mean, again, I don't think villains check back any protected top pairs. I'm just going to go with that assumption. I don't think they have many check backs with flush draws either, so I think we have a clear value bet now against some a lot of different types of hands with equity. Might have some like king jack gut shots. You might turn a club. You can have like pocket 5s. For example. I think we just get value from a decent amount of hands. I don't think we're really going to get raised a whole bunch. I suppose we kind of rep traps now, don't we? Like we check to flush or to raise. We check to queen, for example, but I think I would just be either betting small or checking. Betting sort of quite large or checking, because we're quite polar here. King 7, yep. And be folded. Just fast fold this trade deuce again. Just get a hotkey for fast fold and clip fold. 3 deuce suited. If you know that your guys are over folding, I love it. If we don't know if we don't know and we're just assuming and we're just betting every single button, I don't like it. I think 3 deuce suited is a little bit too wide. Yeah, and you know this better than me, I suppose. The flip side on table 1, though, when it comes down to... Oh, no, we did see bet table 1. I'm talking out my ass. Sorry. Let's have a look here. Sorry. Yeah, we did bet. My apologies. I was going to say, like, when we've just got a hand like King 7, like, you don't have to just pure bet everything. But, again, we have a nut advantage, and we have a pretty heavy advantage. Even though both ranges are pretty wide, we're going to have lots of these sort of bigger nutted hands on the heavy end. We do also block some continues from villain like King Jack, King 9, King Queen, King 10, for example. So I would just be betting and barreling loads of flops and turns and potentially bluffing a lot of rivers as well. Yeah, I like it. I'd be range betting pretty heavy. On the turn here, I would love to see larger overbet. We just keep going with block King Jack. We've got all the nutted hands. A lot of our bluffs improved. A lot of our value is improved. Let's just keep going. We also have the King of Hearts, which means we can barrel hearts as well, which is also really, really good. I like the large size. I think I would have preferred something around sort of 75 to overbet. But this is fine. All fine. I was going to say, probably expect to get called on most turn, on this turn relatively a lot, because there's going to be heart continues. There's going to be there are still going to be some pair and gut shot type hands like King 10, for example, like Queen Jack, etc. So I would expect to get called a decent amount of turns, to be prepared to bluff rivers and follow through and punch them into the into oblivion on rivers. So we're going to go for about another 5 minutes or so, and then we're going to move into part 2. So let's keep going for a couple of minutes. Easy folds. King E suited, yes please. 8-3, not so good. So with the King deuce, King tray, I would suppose we do a decent amount of small betting, and the board is very, very good for us. I like having if there's a spot to have more potentially more protected check lines, this is one of the situations to do it, because when we have hands like King 10, King Jack, King Queen, Ace King, pocket threes, King 3, etc., it's better just to go ahead and bet. But in these populations, when they bet so often versus check, you can bet the flop when you're in position. It's almost like checking back the flop induces them to then bet turn and river, and then you make money, and then you control versus bigger King X, because there's not other hands. There's not many hands that they'll bet for value that you beat, for example. So having this check-in position is quite nice. Whereas when you're out of position, you can either check flop or bet flop and check turn out of position. In position, betting is fine, but checking, I would love to see a check exploitatively here almost always, and just let villains just sort of blow up into you, and then control the pot size versus other hands. And then we just do more range betting with almost other, all our bluffs, for example. Again, this is exploitable, but no one's exploiting us, so I wouldn't worry about it. But this is NL10, so the priority is exploitation and the way the population tendencies play. So you check this back, for example. I think you make more money in the long run checking this than betting and checking, or betting, barreling, and betting river. Personally, I don't think enough hands will call you 3 times that you beat. It's not a blunder. I'm just saying I think that exploitatively I'd prefer a check. So what's happened here? We've opened the small blind. So I think what our range, technically speaking, GTO-wise, would like to... I'm thinking blind on blind, Christ. I think we know we do a lot of overbetting versus a big blind with this texture. I think the small blind does a lot of small betting as well. I think it's mixed between block and overbet, I believe. I don't think there's any sort of middling betting. I think honestly, at these stakes, it's better to... pick a small size rather than an overbet. I think a small c-bet size accomplishes more on these textures, because you're just trying to get X amount of range to fold that just has to fold to any size, and villains don't raise enough aggressively with semi bluffs and bluffs. So I would just bet small and consistent rather than choosing any sort of overbet line on flops. Personally, that's how I would go about these. I know you can potentially overbet, but I don't think it's optimal, is what I'm saying. I think it's better to mainly stick to small betting consistently rather than overbetting, which we do. But again, just something to think about in terms of learning strategy is that you do. I mean, you may know this, I don't know, but I'm just saying you will do a decent amount of overbetting here as well as quite small betting. So something to think about potentially for the future if we do move up, like NL50 for example. I'd like to see a lot of overbetting there. 10 deuce easy fold. I'm just thinking for a second. I know Queen 8 is just a piece of garbage. I'm just thinking versus double limp. We probably just don't take it down enough, do we? I'm just thinking if we can make this 7, do we just take this down 9 times out of 10? But Queen 8 off is just such a garbage hand. It's probably better just to check. Okay. Especially when we know we're going to flop top pair, right? I think we're mostly calling with 8-6 suited. I think these gap connectors play better as calls in position. Versus probe, we've got no equity, just easy folds. I don't think I'd do any raising table 2. I think it's an easy call. I don't think I'd be leading. I think just, again, easy check. Again, we don't have anything else to do but call, I suppose. We're not super thrilled, but it's a limp pot, so I don't think anyone's going to have super nutted value. Ooh, that's interesting. So versus this huge size versus UTG limp, unless this guy's just got like queens, tens, aces, kings, doing some weird stuff, but I think it's probably unlikely. I mean, villain, I suppose everyone's uncapped, aren't they? If they're just volatile, uncapped recreational players limping with like a lot of their hands, like 4-5 suited, 10-9, queen 10, God knows what, ace 4 off, ace 4 suited, who knows. I think the way the volatility of the pools look like they play, I think just the way tendencies, I would probably just be folding. It's tougher because villain can only have one combination of pocket fours. He doesn't represent tens or queens or queen 10. He doesn't really have queen 4 or 10-4. Hearts develop, so villain could have a hand like jack 9 of hearts, for example, which means we could technically be ahead. If you've got no information, personally, I would prefer you to fold. If you've got information that you know that this person has shown tendencies to bluff or is quite aggressive, I would assume, and this is an assumption, but I think I'm quite right here, is I would assume your hand is actually good, honestly, versus most of the population, the way they played this. This looks like a turn draw. Like, it looks like 10x of hearts, or like jack 9 of hearts, jack 8 of hearts, 6, I mean, maybe not 6-7 of hearts, maybe like king 9 of hearts, like those kind of gut shot overs that have developed now, flush draws that may raise turn. The guy who looks like he has a queen, if anyone, would actually looks like Mr. Last Boy, which is the hijack, the way this looks like it's played. So if anything, I think this guy might actually be bluffing here, like semi-bluffing. So I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about it, I actually prefer calling now. But I know tendencies tend to be value heavy. So if you've got no information and you just want to make a fold and you don't want to make any sort of crazy adjustments without information, I love folding. If you know this guy has shown some tendencies to be aggressive or whatever, I actually always quite competent. Well, I mean, he's limped under the gun, but you know what I'm saying. I would probably call this and potentially call rivers, because I really think this is going to be a lot of combo draws compared to like sort of nutted value, considering the 4 is paired. Anyway, so up to you. Doesn't matter. I suppose both are completely fine as always. I'd love to see a call and then a hero call, but, you know, I'm a whale, so see how we go. Also, we don't know what this guy's going to do. He folds. Just one thing, I would not have fast folded that immediately. Like, I know, like, you know, the guy folded, then you went straight to the fold button. My analysis there with like the backdoor hands and the combo draws and so on, think about it. At least try to give your opponent a couple of hands potentially that you might be able to beat. Think about it before just fast folding, okay? I think that was a situation where you potentially could have called. At least have a second to think about it. Anyway, moving on. Actually, no, I'm going to lie to you. We're 32 minutes in, so I'm going to stop this video and we're going to finish on part 2. So see you in part 2.